Welcome to Business of Design. Business of Design is the world's best business training for interior design professionals like you. If you're ready to implement an exact business model for running a streamlined, profitable business, field tested by thousands of design professionals around the world, head to businessofdesign.com and get started today. It's time to dramatically improve your business and transform your life. Business of Design. There's only one.
Hello, you fabulous interior design professional. I have a question for you. What happens when your creative brain feels like a browser with 42 tabs open and none of them is quite what you're looking for? That is the question. And we are going to consult an expert on this episode of Business of Design. Skye Waterson is the founder of Unconventional Organization. She's a business coach for people, and these are her words, with scattered and complicated brains. Sounds like ADHD to me. And Skye is going to reveal why ADHD thinking is more common in entrepreneurs and designers than you'd ever guess, and why traditional productivity hacks and advice probably won't cut it. I share some information about my own family. My son is ADHD, and it turns out my husband kind of is too. Didn't see that coming, you know what I mean? But we're going to dig deep, not into diagnosis, because who cares, but how to change the way you work, how to set priorities, and how to finish what's most important and finish what you start. So we've got practical strategies, everything rooted in neuroscience, tons of laughs, and permission to finally do things your own way. So whether you're running $1 million firm or you're just trying to keep your to-do list under control, this episode is going to help you rewire how you approach work, which I think is a really good thing. Plus, you're going to find out why it's okay to reward yourself before you do the hard work. So what I learned is basically ice cream is a business tool. I like that. Get ready for your most productive days ever. I'm really glad you're here. Quick announcements from Cheryl Horn, and we'll get right into the episode.
Thanks, Kimberly. Are you ready to finally take control of your business finances and stop dreading the money side of your interior design business? Join us for the 6-week financial boot camp. This comprehensive, real-world program gives you the confidence to take charge of your business finances, even if numbers aren't your thing. It's led by Kimberley Seldon, our fractional CFO, and Team BOD. This program is tailor-made for creatives who want to build a thriving, profitable business. You'll learn exactly how to set your rates, read your profit and loss statement, calculate your margins, and grow your revenue with confidence. The best part, you'll implement what you learn step by step as we go. No fluff, no filler, just real tools to run a successful business that pays you what you're worth. It all starts October 16th and runs for 6 consecutive Thursdays, with office hours and spot coaching in between to keep the momentum. The price is $7.95, but the ROI is so much better and will compound year over year once you've implemented what you learn. So stop guessing and start growing. Sign up for the BOD Financial Bootcamp today at businessofdesign.com and make money management your new superpower. We would love for you to join us. Thanks so much.
Skye, you are going to be our very first guest on the new platform for our podcast. Good to see you.
Thanks. I feel honored. It's wonderful to meet you as well.
And tell everybody where you are coming to us from. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, so I am calling in from Little New Zealand. I work mostly with people in the US, so I feel very comfortable here. But yeah, I live on the other side of the world. I get up really early.
I was supposed to be in New Zealand in March of 2020. Does that date kind of ring a bell for anything interesting?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little long COVID. And we were literally like, should we go? I mean, it's March 2020. Should we go? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't go. Should we go? Anyway, the answer was no, you're not going anywhere.
No, that would have been rough.
That would have I'm sad that I have not been to New Zealand yet, but hopefully one day. And I'm
Yeah.
very excited to have you on the show. And I've talked about this on the show before, that I have a son who's ADHD and Asperger's. So tell everybody what you do and why I would open by telling you that my son is
Yeah.
ADHD.
Yeah. So I am a sort of like business coach who works specifically with people who have scattered and complicated brains, and I have one myself. So I was diagnosed with ADHD very unexpectedly at the beginning of my PhD, and it threw me into a totally different world of research and learning about how my brain worked. And over time, that body of work became Unconventional Organization, and now I help CEOs, directors, managers to understand their own ADHD so that they can get to the next level, 10x their business.
You know, I don't know this to be a fact, but I suspect that there are a lot more CEOs and CFOs who have ADHD than most of us would even imagine.
100%. In fact, about 50% of my clients don't have a diagnosis, don't want a diagnosis. They just resonate with the strategies and the executive functioning struggles, and I support them, and that's a big part of what I do. Yeah, I work with all kinds of people resonating with this way of thinking.
Well, sometimes it's kind of a slow roll to figure out that this is you. And for in my
Yeah.
life, what's interesting is we knew my son was hyperactive within seconds of him walking. Like, was like, whoa. So that was obvious. Some of the other things were a bit more subtle. But what was interesting is the journey to learn about his special complicated brain led my husband to say, "Hey, I think I'm exactly like Cooper." And he is. And I didn't know it. I was married to him for, several years before we had Cooper, and it never occurred to me. But
Yeah.
once you know it, once you see it, you can then begin to see it in other people. And I am amazed how many people I meet who I'm like, oh, they're sort of spectrumy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly how those people end up in my office. Most of my clients are in their, late 30s, 40s, or even higher, kind of coming to me saying, "Hey, I got here in my life, but now things are getting, there's just a few too many complications, or I'm just tired. I'm just tired of pushing everything in this way that doesn't feel right, or my wife is tired." I'm not seeing the family enough and not being present. And so this is, these are the reasons that people tend to
Yeah.
walk into my office or digitally
So,
walk into my office.
right.
This episode is brought to you by Aquavado and the House of Roll Studio in Toronto. Aquavado is a trade-focused plumbing showroom designed to support interior designers like us with expert product guidance, educational support, and concierge-level service. Inside, the House of Roll Studio has curated selections of Perrin & Rowe, Roll, Shaw's, Victoria and Albert, Emtech, and Schwab. On Tuesday, October 7th, House of Roll Studio will host studio sessions for designers looking to build a social media strategy that will target ideal clients and build brand equity. The panel features Tiffany Lee, Paris McKenna, Olivia Beautry, and Chelsea Mazur. 4 women who've grown strong, distinctive brands from humble beginnings by using social media with clarity, consistency, and purpose. Learn more and RSVP at aquavado.com/designers. That's AQUAVATO.com/designers. And BOD listeners, you can use the promo code BODstudio25 to get 25% off registration. Enter the code at checkout when registering for any Studio Sessions event.
So it's fascinating because everybody listening is like, wait a minute, this is a show about interior design, but here's what I've learned and how this relates to my business and maybe your business if you're listening. The way that my son needs to learn is actually a really helpful way to learn. And it's especially helpful if you're tackling a subject matter that you're not used to, you're not comfortable with, maybe even a subject matter you don't think you would even like. And I'm thinking of my particular community, interior design professionals. Many of us get into the business thinking, well, it's a creative business and I love that, but I don't want to deal with the paperwork. I don't want to deal with the financials. I don't want to get into like profit margins. And those are the very things you must learn in order to be successful. And the best way to learn it is in a style that also happens to work for people with ADHD. Is that,
Yeah.
does that seem right? Did I tee it up?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, people, often ask me what the definition of ADHD is and how I know. And really, ADHD is executive functioning struggles that are persistent and pervasive across time and across various categories of your life. So you might struggle with working memory. You might struggle to, break down a bunch of tasks or remember tasks you were given. You can feel overwhelmed and paralyzed when starting something or get really bored. This is something, if you have, if you meet the criteria for ADHD, you'll have it when you were a kid, you'll have it now, you'll have it on Friday, on Monday, but everybody has it at some point. Everybody gets to Friday afternoon and feels like they're like, I don't want to do anything. So these strategies work. They're based on neuroscience research into, these brains. But one of the things we know more and more now is that, there's also the subclinical component. So for a lot of people, and also to be honest, if you're going to go and start your own business, the chances that you are somewhere in this realm is incredibly high based on the data.
Interesting. Yeah, that actually doesn't surprise me. I thought we might start and have you weigh in with your expertise on this idea that when business is overwhelming or when there's, a task in your business that's overwhelming or a period in your business that's overwhelming and it feels like everything is wrong, everything is on fire. How do you dig through that and get anything accomplished? And specifically, like people will say, like, I really want to join business of design. I'm just too busy right now. And you're just like, it's heartbreaking because if you don't start, you don't get. So how do we figure out how to start even when the timing is not perfect?
Yeah, that is a really great question. And it's one of the first things I teach. So I actually have a program called the prioritization filter, and I give it away. So if you want to just DM me design on Instagram at Unconventional Organisation, I will send it to you. No one should feel overwhelmed. But essentially the first thing we want to do is we want to go in and say, okay, what are the things that I need to do today? In the world that we're in, let's do a brain dump of all the things that we have to do. Ideally, somewhere you're going to come back to. I know we love to brain dump on the randomest sheet of paper and then throw it away, but something that you might come back to, a journal or something like that. And from there, we want to look at everything that was in your head. Don't go to your emails. Don't go to your other tasks. Just focus on what's in your head. And we want to say, okay, what are the things that need to be done on this list that are truly urgent? And because we can really struggle with this definition, especially when we have ADHD, I actually have a few things that you can think about to help you with that. For example, let's say your day went sideways and you ended up in a waiting room, for some reason. And, you're like, okay, this is it. My day is over. What are the things that you would still be either doing on your phone, because they did have to get done, or messaging people and saying, hey, sorry, this isn't going to be prepped for tomorrow, because you actually had to communicate with somebody that this was going to be prepped or not. Those are the situations.
That's a way for you to kind of check in and see which one of these is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it's not
that's
something you would do, it's not urgent.
Yeah. I remember distinctly, I think that if I believe that there's a spectrum. I'm not the only one who thinks there's a spectrum, but meaning a continuum. I think that I'm at the lowest possible end of the continuum for ADHD. I just feel like I'm not impacted a lot by it. But
Yeah.
when I think about the fact that when I think about having to narrow down my to-do list, that's where I see my challenge. And so, for example, I remember
Yeah.
having staff in the office and they would say, I'd say, I need this, this, and this done. And they'd say, but I'm doing also this, this, and this. Which one do you want done? And my answer was all of them, like all of them, which is crazy. Like, so even me, who I really don't think I have ADHD, or at least not much, I completely understand how it's difficult to narrow down that to-do list.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's really one of the things that I often teach is that, you know, especially if you have a creative brain, you will never struggle to come up with ideas. You're giving them away. Other people might have one or two ideas and be like, these are my ideas. But you've got a laundry list. You know, you have so many thoughts and ideas and tasks, and this would be great and that would be great. And so the problem that we have is that we tell ourselves, because for some people, they don't have a lot of ideas and this is really what they do. I have to get everything done. It's important that I get everything done. And then to your point, once I've done that, then I'll be ready to tackle a new challenge. When what we actually need to do is we need to say, what's truly urgent using systems like we just discussed. And then from there, with the remaining stuff, what is truly important? What is the thing that is going to help you reach your goal? It's your 20% task that's going to give you an 80% return to reach your goal. And often when I work with clients, that's the first thing that we work on together is we meet and we talk and we figure that out. It's usually something you don't want to do. And that's the conversation we have next.
It's always something you don't want to do, right? I'm thinking of
Yep.
this particular moment in our world, many interior design professionals are reaching out and say business is a little slow. And you say, okay, it's time to get on the phone and reach out to past clients and, but that's the thing you need to do, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that brain dump is something you would say, like, first thing in the morning, you're going to start your day, like, just get it all out on paper and then try to discern
Mm-hmm.
using the tips you suggested about
Yeah.
now you're in the waiting room,
Yeah.
what absolutely is urgent to get done. That's number
Mm-hmm.
one
Yeah.
priority in the morning.
Yeah, in the morning or in the evening. Really depends on how you like to live your day. But definitely daily, I would say, have a look at it. And the purpose of it is actually to give you more time. Usually people have more time than they realize. Once we remove what's truly urgent, and we're like, oh, I could do that in an hour. That truly urgent stuff isn't that complicated. Then we can go in and we can say, let's tackle those needle mover tasks. Let's tackle those 80/20s that we don't want to do. And that's where the ADHD side comes in, you know, because we don't want to do it. One of the things we know if you have this kind of brain is that giving yourself a reward at the end isn't going to work. Like we've looked at the research, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that we don't really associate the reward at the end with the task we're doing. We're just like, that sucked and now I have ice cream. Okay. And it doesn't really connect.
Right.
Yeah, it's not really giving us that boost at the beginning, that little thumbs up that says like, this is going to be worth it. It's going to be great. And so we need to go through a system of steps. And I actually teach these. I've taught them for years now, to help you step into focus so that you don't feel that resistance. The first thing we do is we start with a reward. We talk about what the different options are for that. It doesn't have to be ice cream.
Although I'm highly motivated by ice cream, if I'm honest.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. So now you got this brain dump and theoretically you've come up with one or two urgent tasks. Is there also a need to kind of limit the number? Because that's me. I'm like, they're all urgent. I have to do them all. Here's the order I'm going to do them in. Usually the easy, fun one first, which is, I know about.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say the truly urgent tasks, and remember, truly urgent, not urgent, right? The things you have to do. If you have more than 5, you should be looking at what you're doing, because most times, and I've worked with people who swore they had 50, and by the time we finished it, they had 4. So it's really, the expectation is you're not going to have more than 5 unless, unless something really bad is happening in your business that day. And so what that allows you to do is once we understand that that's what we have to do, usually the dopamine, and I say this because a lot of the stuff that I do is backed up by neuroscience. So we're always talking about dopamine and how that works. Usually what we're seeing is you will have the motivation to do it once you only identify the truly urgent stuff. Because you're like, oh yeah, that is truly urgent. I actually need to do that. If I don't do that, I'm not going to get paid tomorrow. Like, that's a big deal. Versus what happens a lot is we'll have this very fuzzy list of things that we wanted to do, and we felt bad if we didn't do them, and we kind of said we would do them, and then a couple of truly urgent things, and it gets really fuzzy.
Yeah, this all relates. So far, I can't figure out how anybody is not ADHD in terms of relating to this. And maybe that's the point. Maybe we're just, every single one of us, you said it off the top of the show, there are going to be times when you don't have the focus you need to get, the ball over the
Yep.
line, or some sports metaphor. I don't know. um, what other things would you suggest? What if you were looking at a list of 3 to 5 things and you just really, really didn't want to do them?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
urgent, they're important. Like, what happens then?
So we go through the step into focus routine at that point, which is kind of the next thing that I teach, because everyone goes, great, now I know what to do, but I don't want to do it. What do I do next? And I'm like, don't worry, we got you. We have a plan. So what we want to do next is the step into focus routine. There's 3 reasons you don't do a task. It's too boring. It's too confusing. The last time you did it, somebody yelled at you, you felt bad. There's some kind of emotional vulnerability associated with this task. Those are the 3 main reasons. So we want to go ahead and we want to unblock those reasons in, 15 to 20 minutes so that you can go ahead and you can, get started. So the first thing you want to do is the dopamine side. So we think about, okay, what are the 5 senses? Touch, taste, smell. You guys are in design, so you guys are going to know much better than me. Like, what is the environment that you want to be working in? Do you want to eat something, drink something, listen to something, smell something? What is your ideal way to do this? And we give you a reward for starting. So often I'll say, go somewhere nice, go to a coffee shop, get a coffee, sit in the sun if you can, or, a comfortable chair and some music, and start by watching or reading an article about something that you like. That's, as long as you're sitting down with the intention of starting work, for a lot of people, that can save them hours of procrastination and getting ready because they're sitting down with the intention of starting. And then from there... Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I know there's a delay because
You're
we're far apart.
okay.
There are lots of different ways that people get ready to be focused or get focused, right? I was at the airport in New York, and there was this guy beside me, a young guy, and he had this blaring metal music coming out of his earphones. And we were stuck it was when they were rebuilding LaGuardia, so it was a hot mess. And we were in this lineup 40 minutes. He took his earbuds off or whatever. And I said, do you like that blaring in your head? Like, doesn't it stress you out? And he said, actually, it really relaxes me. That's the music that relaxes me. And my son, he says the same thing. He loves metal. And I hear it and I'm like, stop it. It's too much. So my son would actually be listening to music like that as he's getting ready to do a task.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the thing, we ask people when they start. In fact, when people start with us, we just give them a list of like general fun activities, because often you've never thought of them before. But eventually we ask you to take this dopamine seriously, to build a list of things you enjoy. It's a really important part of building a successful business with ADHD, because we are going to want to be in this for a while.
I would say so, yeah. Okay, so then you get yourself, whatever it looks like for you, you get yourself in a position where you're going to start off with a small reward for yourself, and that will give you the motivation to begin the task. So what about the moment where you lose interest? No, I got that wrong.
No. So we're not starting the task yet. That's not.
Okay.
But it's a common misconception. So So once we've done that, the next problem we have to tackle is the this task is too confusing and I'm going to get lost and I'm going to get distracted in the task. Yeah. So the next thing we want to Yeah. So the next thing that we want to do is we actually want to dial down the dopamine a little bit. So if you were watching YouTube, we might switch to a podcast or music, something that you can, you're still getting dopamine, but it's less. And then from there, we're actually going to take a minute. And I love to grab a little piece of paper. I'm just grabbing it now. And just write down physically on a piece of paper a recipe for what you're going to do during this period of time. So am I going to open the application and I'm going to find the thing and, oh, actually, I need to contact the person and, oh, actually, I need to do this, and write it down as if you're giving instructions to somebody else, because it's you when you forget what you're doing in about 25 minutes.
25 minutes, 25 seconds someday. So you're
Someday.
it's like kind of the idiot's guide to what you're about to tackle.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
okay, keep going.
Yeah. So at that point, you're sort of going, okay, well, this doesn't feel too complicated. Sometimes we look at it and we go, okay, well, I'm not going to get everything I planned. It's also good for time blindness. We can kind of go, well, if you run out of space on the Post-it note, you're probably going to run out of space during this period of work time. So that's a good little measure there. And then from there, we're really going, okay, let's work with some fear of the blank page. Let's just open the application that we're going to work in, open the notebook and just tinker around, write a title, write a bit of notes on it, highlight something, do something to sort of start with no pressure. And then at that point, you've gotten yourself a reward. You've given yourself a boost. You know exactly what you're going to do. You already opened the application. And inertia goes the other way. You might as well get started.
Interesting. And when you're working with someone and you're providing them with these kinds of suggestions, is it, you have to remind them does it take a while for it to become muscle memory that you work like this? How does that, because it's very different from how I would normally approach something.
Yeah. So what we do is we give people a visual. And we say, like, here's the visual, print it out, stick it everywhere, take a photo of it on your phone. And usually when people are starting, they're kind of using the visual. But a lot of times, especially with my clients who resonate with the ADHD symptoms, a lot of times they'll say, oh, I was already doing this, or I was already doing some of this. I just didn't know I could give myself permission to actually work this way.
Wow. Yeah, because sometimes I guess you stumble onto something that works for you, and that's how you're functioning in the world at such a what is sometimes such a disadvantage. But at other times, I think my son has the ability to provide a creative solution that I never would have come up with all the time. And be like, that's
that's the
unorthodox, but
strengths.
weirdly it works. Yeah. What about the situation where you're into the task and you're feeling pretty good and some amount of time has gone by and you're losing steam, you're losing interest? That was a big thing for my son. If he wasn't interested in the task, like he loves English, so he did great in English class. Didn't like math, just tune right out. So what do you do when you get to that spot and you need to finish the task? How do you motivate yourself to keep going?
Yeah, it's a good question. So often what I find is the step into focus, like the bit where you wrote down the steps of the task, that is a huge help at this point. Also, what I find is when you flag during a task, one, you might need to take a break and come back. You can take those steps all the way back up and then all the way back down whenever you want. But when you're doing a task, say you're like, okay, I just want to do this 30 minutes, I just want to finish this task, sometimes we have to dial the dopamine back up a little bit. So you might find that you're flagging. So you might want to put that heavy metal music back on for a few seconds, review that list of exactly what you were going to do, go, okay, I'm here, I need to do this, this, and this, and give yourself that little break, mentally before you go back down and finish that task.
Okay, interesting. And I guess the bottom line is it's just helpful to know you're not the only person who it gets easily distracted or off course or overwhelmed.
Yep.
And the fact that there are some suggestions about how to handle that can be really helpful. I wonder how many interior design professionals are ADHD.
Well, I've met a few. And yeah, and I will say, yeah, everybody struggles. So I work with people who run multi-million dollar companies, people who run their first company, people who, close deals in big corporations for various jobs, or, are creatives who just want to get started. And everybody, I find these strategies work across everybody, which is one of the things I love about them.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know that your a specialty or a subspecialty is ADHD, but truly it really is about productivity, just generally speaking, how to be more productive in your day, which is important, I think, to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, how to make sure that your time is being used the way you want it to be. Because one of the frustrations I hear from a lot of people is I feel like I go to work and I don't do anything, and then I do everything in the last 2 hours of the day. And then I'm stressed when I get home because I didn't really finish everything and I still want to finish it. I can't be present for family. I can't really be there. My family is complaining, and I just feel like I have no control over my ability to get things done. So it's not even productivity in terms of efficiency and you have to work harder and all that kind of stuff. It's more about how can we use the time you have in a way that feels good for your brain so that you're going to get it done. You're going to close the books. You're going to spend time with your family and you're going to look forward to the next day.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you so much. I think if there was any reservations off the top of people going, ADHD, what are we talking about? I suspect we all heard ourselves in there somewhere. And I always need a reminder to stay on task and stay focused because I just have monkey mind sometimes. We like to end every episode with design intervention. It's just a great piece of business advice or life advice. Is there something that speaks to you, Skye?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and one of the best pieces of advice I have, given and also heard from people is you might be working as hard as you possibly can. A lot of times we think about everything, I've just got to work harder, I've just got to push through, I've just got to keep going. And sometimes we need to stop and say, like, I think I'm working pretty hard. This might not be the problem.
And yeah, and then what do you do at that point? I guess you consult an expert and see what's going on here because it's
Well, yeah, you go into, well, maybe the systems have to change. Maybe the strategies have to change. Maybe the way I'm doing it, maybe the way I'm pricing it has to change. The answer isn't always just I work harder, but for a lot of people, that's the automatic thing that they go to.
That just nails me because I think the first 10 years of my business, I just thought I'll just work myself to death. I don't care. And I wasn't getting anywhere. And the fact of the matter is I work a lot less now and
Mm-hmm.
make more money and have more fun and enjoy it all. And so you're
Yeah.
right. It is about systems and a system or multiple systems for getting yourself focused and on task and being more discerning about your priorities. I think that's good for everybody. Thank you so, so much.
No, it was wonderful, wonderful to be here. And yeah, if anyone wants to find me, I have a podcast, the ADHD Skills Lab, or you can find me at Unconventional Organisation across the internet. And we have lots of resources, so come and hang out.
And all of that information will be in the show notes as well. And what's the podcast again?
The ADHD Skills Lab.
I'm going to send the link to my son as soon as we're done. And my husband too. And my husband too. Thank you so, so much.
No worries.